Hello and welcome to another video from oorail. Today is another 15 minutes of modeling, and it's Friday, November 22nd, 2019. So I think everyone's kind of gearing up for Worley today, and everyone's hopefully looking forward to some really good announcements over the weekend. So like I said earlier in one of the previous videos, I'll put together a playlist of the best Worley videos. See, interesting news today. I saw that the FTC gave a bit of a clarification on COPPA. So if you are one of those individuals who've been watching some of the COPPA videos and sort of, some of them have taken some of the sound bites from the FTC press conference, a lot of context, especially the whole fish in a barrel comment and the fines. So if you're worried about that stuff, I'd recommend you go check out the FTC's website. I think it's ftc.gov, and if you go to their blog page, you'll see that they have some announcement there from today where they mention a little more clarification of what kids content is. And just one thing too, if you are worried about that, the option that's in Google to set your audience, per the settlement, that's Google looking to you as the creator to say, okay, when you filmed this video, when you edited the video, when you uploaded the video and selected tags and descriptions and thumbnails, who was your intended audience, right? So if I was sitting here with puppets and telling stories of trains, I would have to say, well, my content is kid oriented. However, since I'm sitting here with dangerous chemicals like panel line, accent, color, paints, and soldering irons, and 91% alcohol here, this is obviously geared more towards adults and older teenagers who are looking to build on their hobby and learn how to do things. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and start the timer, and we'll get started with some of the stuff. Alexa, give me a 15-minute timer.
50 minutes, starting now.
Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is stuff some ballast into the ballast bin right here. And to do that, it's pretty straightforward. Just going to take some PVA glue, and I'll just pour it fairly generously in there, and then take the back of a used paintbrush and just sort of adhere the glue to the sides of the ballast bin. It's probably the easiest way to do this. And then what I'm going to do is pour some ballast out into one of my used water cups here. So I've got a bottle of water. I'm just going to use the top off of it to store some ballast. You don't need a whole lot of ballast for this. So I'm using the Woodland Scenics gray blend. You can see there. Just pour out enough to kind of sort of fill the cap, and then sort of just level it out a bit. And then what I'm going to do is just gently pour this, hopefully, into the ballast bin, like so. And I'm just going to take my finger and sort of tap it down. You will get some excess, but that's okay. You can either clean it up or leave it there, whatever you want to do. And so that's gonna, the outside and the bottom of it's gonna glue, and what we'll do is we'll spray it like we would with anything else to get the effect. Now I'm going to take this panel line color, it's Tamiya, and I'm going to go and use it to just augment some of the color that's in a few places here. So you don't need a whole lot of it. It should hopefully you kind of just want to use it to bring out, you can either kind of dribble it on it, or you can sort of see how it is bringing out the door features on this on the relay casing there. So you can sort of see how it's starting to bring out some of the features. And like I said, all I did was I just dropped it in there a little bit along the top, so it ran down the sides. and the top, and it just does smell kind of funky, but and then I kind of usually just brush it along the sides, and it'll find its way, oops, down through there. And if you get too much of it on, it's fine, it'll just add to the weathering, and so on. So that usually looks pretty good when you get it to work right, like so. And I'm going to do the same thing to the rail. While the rail it's kind of brown, I'm thinking the panel line color here will just give it a little extra dimension. Just bring out some of those details. You don't need a lot of it, you just touch it against it, and because I angled the thing downwards, it's going to pretty much kind of catch those edges and make them stand out a little bit, so when you're looking at it, it looks more three-dimensional. And I typically try to do this with several things. Just adds to the outline, so it's kind of cool. Alright, so next up I'm going to go and add a little bit of foliage here in and around the trees to sort of darken it up. And I believe I said I was going to use this forest blend underbrush, so it's a little darker. So what you do is I'm going to go and just take the rubbing alcohol spray here and just maybe wants to cooperate. Hang on, it doesn't want to cooperate. Okay, there we go. So I got it to work. You can see there what it does is it basically just mists it, like so. And with that misted, I'm going to go and just add some glue down through here for the foliage. And I'm going to add some here, and maybe some in behind here, and we'll add some in front of that, like so. And so what you do is you just take just a small amount of it and just sort of just drop it in place and kind of push down on it like that. And it will be a little messy, but should hopefully work okay. So what I typically do next is take a paintbrush and just the back of it and sort of push it down a little bit, so that it doesn't, I'm getting this a little bit too close to the track too, so I'm fully aware of that. And the idea with this is just to give it a little bit of kind of a darker kind of color to it. It was getting a little too bright, so it kind of looked a little fake. So I'm hoping that will somewhat fix that problem. Now I'm going to take the bicycle here out of the way and spray in and around underneath this tree like that. In fact, so what I'm going to do is take a little bit of glue and just sprinkle it around, not quite under the tree, but like kind of off to the front here where it would have. Then what I'm going to do is mix this in with the glue. Like so. And then we'll take this is Woodland Scenics Earth Blend. And just going to take a little bit and drop it in there like so. And then sort of just tap it out like that. I'm going to move this fence out of the way because we'll just clean that off the rail like so. And so the idea here is that I'm trying to get this sort of kind of leaf type effect that's under the tree, and then what we'll do is we'll mix in a small amount of the Woodland Scenics weeds at the bottom. Ooh, that's way too much. More of it wanted to come out than I wanted. Like so. We'll just mix that in. And then what we'll do is we'll just take the spray and spray over the top. And what this is going to do is it's basically going to soak it into the glue that's underneath it. And it'll work out pretty okay. Okay, so the next thing I need to do is we need to get a little bit of color onto these trees. And so to do that, I've got this conifer color. So what did I do with the... Oh, here it is. So I'm going to pour that back in there. So I'll have some cleaning up to do here on this road surface that's in front of it. But now I've got this conifer coarse turf. And so what we're going to do is we're going to spray these trees a little bit more. And then what we're going to do is take a small amount of glue and put it on our kind of work paper here, like so. I'm going to then go and take a paintbrush, we'll take this blue paintbrush so I don't confuse them, and we're going to just get some rubbing alcohol on it, and then just sort of dip it onto the brush like this. And then we're just going to sort of randomly brush some glue onto the ends of the tree here. You don't want to use too much. You just want to get it so that it's going to pick up the stuff once we put it on here, like so. And then I'm going to give it a little more with spray. And if I do this right, we'll take this coarse turf here, and hopefully this isn't too coarse. We'll see. Looks like it might be a little too coarse, but we'll give it a go. I'm going to take it and then just basically sprinkle it or run it over the top of the tree here. And the idea is, if it works, you're just going to add just a touch of a different green to the tree to make it look just a little bit more realistic. And I kind of take that plastic tinge off of it. Now you will end up with more of it at the bottom, and so you just pick it up and then just rub it down through the tree again, and you just keep doing this a few times until you kind of get a look that you're happy with. Now it might be better to use a finer material than the coarse one here, but it's all I had on hand, so we'll have to make it work. Like so. Alright, so I'm going to now do this with the rest of the tree. So I'm going to take some of this here and just kind of just randomly glue it on. You don't need a lot on the smaller ones. Now if you wanted to use snow or something, you could use the same technique, but you might want to just keep the snow to the top or around the top of the trees. It's also a good way to test to make sure that you've glued the trees in properly. Sometimes you can find little weak spots in the tree where it might not be as much material, and that might be a good spot to add some extra glue so it picks up the conifer stuff as you add it in here. Again, you just want to sprinkle the glue down so it's going to catch stuff as it comes down, like so. And I think I have 2 more trees to glue. Got this one to glue, and this one over here. Use a bit of glue. I'm almost out of glue from that whole thing. Alright. So next we'll take the spray like I did with the other one. And this is just to kind of water down the PVA a little bit. And then we'll take the conifer stuff and just try to brush it on or sprinkle it onto the tree as much as possible. The other neat thing with this is that you'll end up with material in and around the base, and so you can just kind of brush it off onto the rest of the back scene and it'll sort of clean up. So again, I'm just gonna tap the trees a little bit here, and I'm gonna clean this up so that it doesn't look like it's too overgrown. We do have some greenery there in the tree a bit, but that's okay. Now, I'm also going to go over it with a little bit of, just to add some color to it. Not a whole lot. If I do too much, it'll just look weird. Alright, so the next thing to do is sort of clean up the mess that you created in and around the track. So for example, we've hidden our rails here, so we need to dig these back out. And I found usually I can just sprinkle this along. And you want to do this before it dries. Last thing you want to do is have a whole bunch of material you can't get out for various reasons, but it's also going to fill in the gaps for you, which is always a plus. And if it becomes a problem, I've always found that a quick spray will help dissipate the stuff that's still loose. And then just take the paintbrush and clean off where you want to clean off, like so. And you will get some of it on the track. It's just a matter of cleaning it up when you're done. Now you can go over the top of this with a PVA isopropyl mix, just to seal in anything else, or hairspray also works real well. I'm going to use a clean brush just to get the greenery out of my ballast bin Now that I think of it, I should have probably done the ballast spin afterwards, but what we'll do is we got some excess ballast left over, so I'm just gonna sprinkle that on top, and then I kind of want to make the ballast spin a little more visible, so we're gonna push this down, and then kind of almost make like a path that might have been there with the ballast. There you go. All right, so now we're getting somewhere. You want to make sure that you don't have any kind of unrealistic buildup in the background, so if you get some stuff you got to push down, that's fine. Kind of want to look like it's somewhat overgrown. So next thing I'm going to do is take our little hut here and go to town on it with the panel liner. I'm not sure how this is going to work, but we will try to see if it brings out the... looks like it's going to, which is good. But basically what I'm aiming for here is to bring out the detailing in between the kind of planks of wood, like so. You may find it doesn't go cleanly all the way down just because of the enamel paint or whatever paint you used. And then there's some areas where I didn't paint, so I'm going to go and just kind of gloss over those with the panel liner. And you can sort of see now it's looking pretty good. So I'm going to run the panel liner down across that like so, and then down each one. You can apply it pretty liberally. It tends to dry out and then kind of evaporate a bit, so just have to press up against it. Alright. Okay, so it's looking pretty good. I might try to make this a little better. Let's see. Alright, so it's looking good. And so what we're going to do next is just drop that, well, add a little bit of glue, I think, into the space here. And then we'll take this and just sort of okay, so it's looking pretty good. I'm going to go take some more of the ballast here and just sprinkle it on in front of the hut to sort of create a little pathway. And while there's some stuff inside the hut, I'm going to add a door, so that won't really matter. And it's looking pretty good. I still need to clean off some of the stuff here around the track, but otherwise it's looking like it's taking shape. Alright, so it looks like my timer's about to run out, so I'm going to go and call it a day. In fact, I think I may have set a 50-minute timer by mistake. So anyway, so I think I've done enough modeling for this today. I'm going to give you guys a kind of a closer look, and tomorrow we'll pick up where we left off. Okay, so here we have the finished scene. You can see we've got the panel liner on the HUD here, and we've got the kind of ballast that we put down and so on, and it's looking pretty good. Alright, so I'm gonna, like I said, wrap it up for today's video, give you guys a quick look at this. Tomorrow I'm hoping to finish this up, and then we'll we'll move on to some other projects maybe early next week. So hope you guys enjoyed the video, and until next time.